Hi everyone. In this later than usual video about an awesome wrestling show that's AEW Dynamite that occurred 3 days ago, we discussed not just about the match results quickly, but also their future repercussions. As always, I'm Kushal from the Wrestling Saga, that Indian guy who loves AEW, and let's just get started with the video. We kick things off with the Matt Sydal's match with Kenny Omega. In case he defeats Omega, that's when he gets a shot at the AEW Men's Championship. This match was not ordinary. This match nicely displayed the fact that Matt Sydal is a veteran with over 20 years of experience. He twice outsmarted and outmaneuvered from the one-winged angel move. And he also frequently turned Kenny's actions and his moves against him. Both men contributed immensely to making this match a fantastic start for the show, instead of being something that occurred at the ending of the show. While this match and his loss ends his story with Kenny Omega, his singles run doesn't really look that bad. It still, in one way of looking, ends on a positive note. It will be well regarded, just like his tag team picture is beginning to look like with his brother. Then we saw an overly excited Johnny Silva, preparing for his big match with Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. By the ending of it, besides Dark Order pumping him up, the fact that Hangman Page wished him the best and told him that regardless of whatever happened, the group and he still had his back and they loved him, that was a touching moment in a nutshell. In his match against Cesar Bononi, which occurred next, Hangman Page initially faced a level of difficulty given Cesar Bononi's larger size than him. Cesar also got a couple of good, clean, strong shots against Hangman, and he dominated, I believe, mid-match duration. He was really strong. Hangman's win, though welcome, it wasn't really satisfying. Cesar looked like he definitely had more fuel left in his tank. So the fact that he just fell prey to Buckshot Lariat, it just appeared weird. Then we also had a relatively quick promo from Lance Archer that had him appreciating Sting's contribution to the wrestling industry, but also adding that his time had passed away and that it was Lance Archer, Murderhawk's time right now. I'm like, yeah, I get that part, but are you going to challenge Sting to prove a point? If yes, then what's the deal with that? Why are you not challenging the other folks who actually have championships so as to go down in the history books as a champion of something within AEW? That confuses me. If it's just for the sake of taking down a legend like what Randy Orton did initially, okay, that's understandable, but it's just something which I don't really like that logic. From the woman who took 87 thumbtacks to her back and who had objectively bled more than her opponent, we heard from Dr. Britt Baker DMD, where she cut a promo on how Thunder Rosa should thank her because of her match she will now be remembered as a hardcore legend. I believe she said something similar to Mick Foley over Twitter also. Then she also said that the fans are just as disrespectful as Thunder Rosa for not acknowledging this fact as is. I doubt if this rivalry has really gotten over, that's what I told initially also. In a backstage segment, then we saw the Varsity Blondes along with Top Flight's Dante having a word with Christian Cage, only for Frankie Kazarian to interrupt and ask Cage that his tagline outwork everyone. Then when would Christian Cage actually prove that tagline and have a match? Hearing that, Christian Cage said that he's up for a match next week and if Frankie is interested, instead of being Frankie, which is a very funny phrase, very funny nickname as is, Christian Cage initially suggested that hey, why don't you have a match with me? To which Kaz apparently agreed. Seems like we have a friendly rivalry starting up over here and possibly a future angle after Frankie Kazarian's tag team run with Christopher Daniels ends. We then had the introductory match of the Pinnacle. The team of FTR and Shawn Spears almost squashed the team of Dante and Varsity Blondes. Given that the Pinnacle outnumbered the opposing team significantly along with Wardlow, they were the usual understandable heel tactics and out-of-the-ring actions wherein the Pinnacles kept on robbing and bashing members of the Varsity Blondes and Dante. Eventually the match ended in Pinnacle's favor, and that's when a couple of promos were cut. Number one, MJF just gloating and exclaiming about how awesome the group was, and then the FTR cutting a promo in which Dash stated that he'll die for this team if that was needed, and Dax sort of throwing some shade over Proud and Powerful. This probably means that we may be having a rivalry between the Proud and Powerful, Santana Ortiz and FTR when members of the Inner Circle eventually come back, probably next week. We then had an offering segment with QT Marshall, who stated that his accomplishments will always be overlooked due to his friendship with Cody. and that he'd like to have a match with Cody just to prove that he's as good, if not better, than Cody Rhodes. Cody came out and said that they can definitely have a match in the Nightmare Factory's performance sector, with R. Anderson being the guest referee. While the match will go ahead, Cody will not be as offensive with QT Marshall because in an industry of acquaintances, he considers QT to be his true friend. Which concerns me because the last time he thought someone was his friend, that person misbehaved and betrayed his trust greatly. I don't think so QT will take a loss in the best way. And the civil war that I'm predicting will erupt within the Nightmare Factory, this might just be the trigger for it. Then we saw a match between the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler against Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid. There were so many spots within this match that it will make the video long and repetitive if I count all of them. Subjectively, I feel Brandon Cutler was definitely the weaker member of the team. And I consider this because while the Young Bucks largely had the match under control after taking a significant amount of offense from the Lucha Bros, it was Laredo Kid that landed a Spanish fly on Brandon Cutler and eventually helped them win the match, much to the shock of the Young Bucks themselves. Just when the match ended and the opposite team was celebrating, that's when Kenny Omega came out and he attacked Laredo Kid as well as, I believe, the Lucha Bros. He was essentially disappointed that the Young Bucks for this trio tag team match chose Brandon Cutler instead of the belt collector Kenny Omega himself. He also stated that the reason he joined AEW was because the Jackson brothers had joined and he treated them as family, but now their actions was making Kenny Omega feel like he wasn't being treated as family. So he gave them an ultimatum, either to sweep him in the ring right then and there or else they go separate ways, to which the Jackson brothers declined. In fact, Kenny Omega in his defense also stated that while he knows Don Callis can be abrasive sometimes, and whatever Don says, Kenny doesn't agree with him all the time, he still will have Young Bucks back if they at least treat him like a family. So now that the Young Bucks declined to sweep him within the ring, it's highly possible that the break between the group is certain. Then we saw Jade Cargill cutting a promo on the futility of Red Velvet challenging her, especially after the way she and Cody Rhodes were defeated in her and Shaq's match recently. Her promo skills have definitely improved. With her impressive physique, her voice is sort of complementing it now hand to hand. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley then cut another promo on the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, with respect to them having put Eddie Kingston in an injured position. His leg was shown to be injured. They then hinted towards probably another death match related kind of a match with the Good Brothers, while also acknowledging that they owe Young Bucks for saving them in their match with Good Brothers and Kenny Omega last week. This right here is interesting. John's probably taking some time away from his singles run so as to focus on this tag team revenge angle, which would be a welcome change of events because we get to hear more from Eddie Kingston. The next match was awesome, just awesome. Ty Conti wrestled and defeated Nyla Rose after suffering much offense from Nyla throughout the match. In her own style that I've grown accustomed to and even respect, Nyla beat down Ty Conti tactically using her strength and her size. However, while Ty continued her bicycle kicks, pump kicks to slow Nyla down, Nyla sold Ty's moves brilliantly. In fact, the last DDT which was used by Ty to seal her win was sold beautifully by Nyla Rose. It genuinely looked like it was painful and that it was logically enough to take care of a giant opponent like Nyla Rose. While a part of me thought that Nyla Rose would win given their history, the inner optimistic side of me was definitely super duper happy to see that Ty Conti had won the match because logically it made sense. She's been defeated and she's learned through a couple of other matches and now she knows how to use her strength and her skill and her technique strategically to take down a bigger opponent. Also, this win, it also underlines how badly she was underused in the previous promotion. Whereas we thought that the match had concluded, right then Nyla began attacking Ty Conti again, only for Shida to come in and use her kendo stick to defend her, which further prompted the Bunny from the Butcher and the Blade to come and attack Shida, which further led to Matt Hardy coming out with Butcher and Blade and stating that the women's tournament which recently concluded was a sham because the Bunny was never really given an invite. Chucky T and Orange Cassidy cut a promo besides Kip, Penelope, Ford and Miro, I was about to say Rusev, on their upcoming Arcade Anarchy match, which I'm not completely clear about right now, in which we saw Charlie, Chucky T and Orange Cassidy stating that they were really good at getting beaten up, but this time they intend to win the war while they have lost battles in the past. And Miro, being his usual angry self, stated that they have Ryder will demolish both of them once and for all. But I'm really interested to see what exactly goes down in this arcade anarchy match. Will they be bashing each other's heads on the video machines, or will they be having a video game face-off like the way Kenny Omega did with the New Day some time ago? That's really long time. In the main event, Johnny Silver challenged Darby Allin for the TNT Championship, and the entire Dark Order roster except Anna Jay was ringside to support him. And sometime later in the match, so that the Dark Order's presence doesn't work against Darby Allin, Sting also came with a signature baseball bat so as to defend Darby should the need arise. The match was fantastic. Johnny Silver got several opportunities to show his strength, to show his guns, but Darby's stoic nature and Darby's fluid movements, his ground and pound wrestling style, it all worked in his favor, and Darby eventually won the match. There seemed to be a spirit of sportsmanship within the ring after the match ended, because Darby and Johnny Silver sort of fist bumped, and it looked like Johnny Hungy got the respect of not just Darby but also Sting. And right at that time, the entire alliance formed by Matt Hardy, they started attacking members of the Dark Order, and so as to protect them, not only did Sting come in and Darby come in, but also we had Ty Conti running and attacking Bunny, the person who had attacked her. Let's see what happens over here. They're at least sticking consistently to the storyline of Matt Hardy trying his best to essentially disrupt the lives of Dark Order one by one. I enjoyed this entire show because not a single match bored me, not a single promo bored me as such. I'm liking this order of 3 shows, as in 2 Dark and 1 Dynamite, trying to give as much time to most people, if not all people within the company. That's it for all the updates I had right now. I hope the viewers of this video are safe and sound. Take care, and till the next time, I hope that the viewers of this video have a peaceful time ahead. Goodbye.